Hello everyone, welcome to today's episode of the Osasu Show. In today's program, we'll be discussing police reform in Nigeria. Later on in the program, we'll be looking at the policy to ban keke napeps from the Abuja environs and the impact it has on everyday Nigerians. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back on the Osasu Show. Welcome back to the Osasu Show. Joining me on today's program, we have Barrister Felix Ogbaudu, a retired Assistant Inspector General of Police. Thank you so much for joining me on today's program.
Thanks for having me.
You're most welcome, sir. Today we're discussing police reform in Nigeria. We understand that the police reform bill was passed in April of this year. Talk to me more about the difficulties that the police force face in carrying out their duties.
Thank you very much for that question. Let us start from the beginning and also examine how we got to where we are today. I wish to say that many years passed when I was in service. I enlisted in police force 1976 after my youth service as a cadet TSP. I retired 2011 after 35 years service. In those good old days, virtually everything was provided for the police. They were empowered, they were adequately motivated, so they have absolutely no reason not to perform, and that's why they were performing at that time. But all of a sudden, the budget for the police force, the funding became something else. It became grossly inadequate. It could not meet all their demands. It could not. I appreciate the fact that many years back, the workforce, the strength of the force wasn't as much as it is today. Mm-hmm. Even as of today, with the numbers we have, it's still below the United Nations prescribed minimum requirement of one police officer to 400 persons. And so inadequate funding has impeded police performance to a very large extent. And it cuts across all spheres of police activities. Mm-hmm. If you start from training, for instance, somebody joins the police as a recruit constable or a cadet inspector, or a cadet ASP, or right now they go to police academy in Wudil in Kano. Training for now is not given the kind of priority it ought to get.
Because we see...
Yes, because it is... Like we say in law, you cannot give what you don't have.
Exactly.
If the training is qualitative, when they come out to perform, they give quality performance.
Yes, but why is it that we see Nigerian police force thriving in foreign soil when they have joint missions abroad? We see them thriving. But in Nigeria, we still have them performing below, their
expectation.
Exactly.
Yes.
So why is that?
Now, that's it. That's a very pertinent question. Let me rephrase it. That is, why is it that Nigerian police officers excel when they go on peacekeeping missions outside, but they are judge failures back home here? One, the motivation is not there. Two, the empowerment is not there. Three, the training is not even good enough. It's not good enough. One, we need to give them quality training to enable them perform properly. Then when they've passed out, they must be empowered to perform their jobs. All the equipment required to perform their jobs must be there. Take, for instance, vehicular patrols and crime patrols. How many vehicles do they have? Very few. The ones that are even having that dilapidated. No money to even fuel them. And that reminds me of a cartoon I saw in one of the papers. A policeman stopped a driver on the highway and said, "Can I see your particulars?" He showed the particulars, and I said, "Can I see your certificate of roadworthiness?" The man laughed and was like, "Look at your police patrol vehicle. Is this one roadworthy?"
But what is the issue? Why is it that the police force, is it the budget? Is it the...
Yes.
Okay.
The budget is grossly inadequate. And you see, I'm not defending other institutions because it is a problem that cuts across the board. Inadequacy of budgets. In fact, at times, when the budget is passed and the government approves like 600 billion naira, from January to December, you'll be lucky to release up to 350 billion naira. And that goes to affect your efficiency, your performance, the targets you set for yourself and all of that.
And this also leads to corruption.
Yeah, of course.
Because you have the policemen on the road asking you for 200 naira, 500 naira.
Yes.
Then also it leads to police brutality because most of them are so frustrated that they take out that anger on
innocent citizens.
Exactly.
That reminds me, there was an incident that happened some years back in Ekiti State. I think this Fulani herdsmen were alleged to have attacked the village or so. So the victims ran to the police station and said, "Look, this is our problem." They're crying. Please come and help us. Come and save us." He said, "Look at our vehicle there. There's no petrol." Somebody who is so distressed, who should question for assistance, you ask him or her to give you money to buy petrol to fuel your vehicle. But in the past, it wasn't like that. Like I said, all the vehicles were there. They were properly fueled, maintained. In the past, every police command had a vehicle workshop.
What time frame is this?
That's close to 20 years back. 20 years ago, yes. Like I told you,
so during Obasanjo's, as soon as Obasanjo took office?
Just before that time, yes. Okay. Every command had a workshop where vehicles were maintained, were serviced. And those workshops had all the workers you can imagine. Panel beaters, spray painters, electricians, mechanics, and all of that. Vulcanizers.
So what led to the deterioration of this?
It's the sustenance, financially. If the funds are not there to sustain these things, of course they'll crash.
Well, we have enough funds going to the military. We see every time the military, budget, they have enough equipment coming in. We hear of all the fighter jets going to the Air Force. So why is it that the police force is no longer considered priority?
Let me correct an impression. Even the military, the army specifically, they're also complaining of underfunding.
Do you agree with them?
Of course. There's nobody that is satisfied 100% in this country. You recall in the days of Boko Haram, our soldiers ran into the Republic of Cameroon. I know what they said. All they said was tactical withdrawal. Oftentimes, not all the sums budgeted are released.
Yes. And that happens across all MDAs, exactly.
Yes.
So what would you say, would you advise the president now to look within the force to weed out the corrupt forces? Because as you said, another element is that even when that amount is released, not everything goes to what is meant to be taken care of. So would you advise President Muhammadu Buhari, since he's also, championing the fight against corruption, to look within the security force to weed out the bad eggs and to ensure that Nigeria can move forward in terms of security?
Oh, sure, definitely. I agree. I subscribe to that. I subscribe to that. But the main thing is this. I've always said it. In Nigeria, we know all our problems, we know the solution, but the political will to implement them is lacking. At times when we have certain challenges, we bring in unnecessary sentiments. They could be political, they could be religious, they could be tribal, So all of this must, and again, we must zero down on that fact that so long as we keep on having square pegs in round holes, don't expect anything good. Then again, that takes me back to a statement, this as far as the police is concerned, created to a British Prime Minister many years back. They asked the Prime Minister, Your Excellency, how come that the London Metropolitan Police Commissioner earns more than you, the British Prime Minister. The Prime Minister said, he smiled and said, it is because he is one who provides the enabling environment for me to work, to feel safe. So one, we must prioritize security. Like I've always said, security lies the foundation of a building. If it is weak, everything put on it will crumble. So let us make the job of providing security
our first
priority. Yeah, first
exactly.
Priority. Because where we're going now, it's like we're still on the keg of gunpowder. Kidnappings, cultism, armed robbery, and all of that. I just heard a few hours ago that even kidnapping riding in the Federal Capital Territory have been banned. Where do you want those young riders to? What do you want them to go to? What do you want them to do to sustain their lives? You take some decisions. No time was even given to them to organize themselves. That policy will only help to increase the number of criminally minded youths we have in the country.
Exactly. Yes. And I think another aspect we must touch on is the interagency rivalry. We've seen the military now doing the job of the police force. Very recently, we saw that the huge kidnap kingpin, Wadume, was released by the military, and the police force had come out to speak against it. The president called for a meeting to look into, to investigate this occurrence. Until today, we haven't had any feedback. What's going on with that, if you have any knowledge of it?
In the past, there was synergy amongst all the agencies. There was no competition. There was no medal, no cup at stake they were competing for. They were all like brothers working together. But all of a sudden, this question of ego matter came up again. Yeah, I'm superior to them, this and that. Who are you to? And it's the nation that is suffering. It is the country that is suffering. You and I that is suffering. So we must make sure that the security agencies come together, see themselves as people that have a common objective. That is securing this country.
Well, how do we achieve that?
It is having to work on the psyche of these people, changing their orientation, the mentality. You see, like if they have frequent interactions, maybe 2, 3, 4 times in a year and all of that, come together, what is the problem and all of that, address them. And they should tell themselves the bitter truth. If there's a problem somewhere and the military was one who erred, say that. Be frank, be honest, and not be willing to say that. If it's the police officer who misbehaved, who erred, also tell him, and it should be sanctioned adequately. Once there is justice, but one of the biggest challenges we also have in this country, when I talk about bad cultures plaguing us as a nation, is inequality before the law, as opposed to equality before the law.
Yeah.
You recall a comment a senator from Kanasi made some months or years back over this fight against corruption and all of that. He said if the suspect from party A, they apply the sweetest
insecticide.
No, the sweetest perfume. He's from party A. But if he's from party B, they apply the most toxic insecticide. And
that's what's happening within the security agencies as well.
Yes.
That's quite unfortunate
so
because...
they must come together, synergize, work for the unity and security of this
what
country.
can the president do? Because he has called a meeting, and to me, to the public, it seems like nothing has still been done about that. It seems like the perpetrators of this have been let go. So what do we as citizens then need to do to ensure that the executive arm of government is holding the military accountable, because the military is under the executive arm of government?
Honestly, my honest suggestion would be that they should set up a body. Maybe a body of retired and even some serving officers across the board, military, police, and other security agencies, so that if any challenge comes up, they should address it. Lately, we just established a commission to tackle diaspora matters in this country, right?
Yes.
So they're on board. They're working very well. So if we set up a kind of body like that too, to be addressing all of these problems, to ensure that there is synergy between the security agencies, and let them know that the ultimate aim is for the unity and security of this country. That is the foremost consideration, priority. They should work towards that. All these bickerings or healthy rivalry and all of that should be an issue.
And what can we as citizens do to hold the police force accountable and other security agencies?
You see, like the police force, they have outlets now where you can, communicate your complaints. If you have any grounds against any police officer, send it there.
But it seems like we have legislation to overturn this. As I said in the beginning of the program, in April of this year, the National Assembly passed a bill to reform the police by ensuring that there are more trainings like this, and the police force is more efficient and adequate, and it churns out more officers that are professional. But that legislation has been put in place. Has there been any difference from April of this year till today, November? In terms of the type of policemen that are being churned out from the force?
The question is, has it been implemented?
Who implements it?
It's the same government that should give the leadway on how it should be implemented.
You mean the executive arm?
Yes, there's an arm of government. It's not just sufficient to pass a bill. I have not seen that bill. Maybe those who implement it are indicated there, because I've not seen the details. But I can assure you, up till this moment, I've not seen any sign, nothing to show that it's been implemented. Again, that takes us back to the point I made, the political will. Good decisions are taken, but maybe because those that are benefiting from the status quo will say, no, they work against it. But if we are committed, honestly, to implementing every policy that is put in place, every law that is put in place religiously, irrespective of whose ox is God, we'll be moving forward.
So if I hear you very clearly, Barrister, what you're saying is the solution to the abysmal state of the police force today is the political will, number one, and number two, proper training.
And sufficient funding.
And sufficient funding.
And motivation.
Okay.
And motivation.
And motivation.
Yes.
Any final words? And also, we're running a program, The Nigeria We Are. This is the Nigeria we want to be. So we want you to give us, during your final remarks, just one or two sentences about your ideal Nigeria. What is the Nigeria that you envision for your children, for your grandchildren to inherit?
Well, the ideal Nigeria I envision is this one, a Nigeria that is very safe, secured, a Nigeria that provides employment for its citizens, because they say the idle hand is the devil's workshop. Then, of course, reliable and strong infrastructure should be put in place. For instance, take power. One thing I've always said, if this power can be guaranteed 24/7, that's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, I'm not bothered about who those doing it, where they come from. If they are from Zamfara State, please, all I want is the light. But as long as I say, if the GMD is from so place, then the second person must be from, that's what make the mistake. So I want a nation where everything is working well, there's equality before the law. Equality.
Before the law.
In the face of the law, we should be treated equally. No sentiment. His father is his father is the president, or none of that. No. Whether you are poor, you are rich, whatever, we are equal before the law.
I like that.
And justice prevail.
I like that.
That will move forward, yes.
That's a fine place to leave it. Thank you so much,
Barrister
Felix Ogbaudu, retired AIG and a lawyer, for your time on today's program.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. We'll take a short break right now. When we return, we'll bring you our Vox Pop from Into the Street. As we said during the course of this interview, cocaine and peps were banned from roaming around in Abuja. We'll be talking to some residents of Abuja, and they'll be telling us how they feel about this and what they feel a better solution to this issue would have been. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on the Osasu Show.
Yeah, my reaction is that it's really, really not cool, and it has really, really not benefited anybody, most especially the students, because this morning when I was going to school, there are lots of students trekking, and which is not good. A car might hit them. They really have to go to school early, 7:30 at least they're in school. But students have to go to school 8:30, 9 o'clock just because the federal government restricted keke from moving. It's really bad. Students have to trek to school, trek back home. The economy is not growing. They spend a lot of transport, which they need for their school things to buy. Students really work hard. They restrict themselves from eating just because to get money to go home. I just want to say that even if the federal government is not going to bring back keke, they need to make another easy transportation for the students because it is very useful. But now that they're saying that education is really important, they really have to help us in transportation to school and so many other things.
The restriction is not the problem, but the problem is that they should try and provide what people need before they can restrict one. There should be a provision for one before you stop one. So you understand, because the less privileged are the ones that are facing the problem. People having car, they are moving out. What of those ones are not having car? How are they going to move out? So that's the challenges.
It has been so stressful for us. It has increased the cost of transport fare for us, because I have to walk a great distance in order to get a taxi. And as soon as I get one taxi, it may not be going to the direction where I'm going to. Like this morning, I was going to Crush Cafe. From normally via keke, I should have spent just 50 naira. But because I had to take taxi, I had to spend 100 naira. Then I checked a lot even before I could do that. It was quite stressful for me. And I really want government to come and meet these union people and see an amicable way to solve this issue.
Okay, it wasn't easy at all because yesterday morning I had to walk a very long distance. Because normally keke picks us 15 naira from where I'm staying to Express. But then taxi, they were telling us 100 naira. And it's not easy. I had to trek for a very long distance. And and I was having exams. I went after 9. They were almost done with the paper it was stressful.
My advice to them is that they should bring back keke for us, because we school children, we really need the keke to be back, because if other people don't need it, as for us, the school children, if they don't have keke, they should provide school bus for school children for us to go to school. At least
they should bring it back, because if they should curb this, all these keke people, that's their income, and it will increase crime rates in the country.
That's it for today's program. Don't forget to follow us on social media at The Osasu Show, at TOS TV Network, at Osasu Igbenadian, and at The Osasu Show Foundation on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Our symposium, as you have seen and everyone knows, was a huge success. Thank you to everyone who participated in it on October 23rd. The online version of our magazine is on our website, www.tostvnetwork.com. You can log on there to check it out. Don't forget, next week on the program, we'll be talking more news on sustainable development and current affairs across Africa. We bring you a documentary on maternal health. Maternal health is one of the 5 thematic areas we focus on for the 21st Century Women and Girls Project 2020 to 2030, which was launched at the Osasu Show Symposium. We'll be looking at the causes of the decline in maternal health and its effect on most Nigerian women. All this next week on the Osasu Show. Don't miss it.